Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the National Cycling Podcast, where three cycling nerds discuss what's been happening in the week and a week of cycling, and we look ahead to future events, of course, as well. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Critical himself, Ewan Wilson, and also the man who spent his week in Scotland skiing for some reason, Patrick Blake of Outdo Cycling.
Regret every decision I made this week. There you go.
How is skiing in Scotland? Not France, not Andorra, not Norway.
No, because I wish I'm trying to come up with some random. I'm stalling for an excuse, but I just don't have one. I really don't. Yeah, I should have been with Scott. I should have been interviewing Max Poel, but here we are. Bad decisions were made.
I did an interview with Fabio Jakobsen as well. That's available over on the Cycling Day and Extra on the podcast, and exclusive here on this Echelon Cycling Podcast. Not on here on YouTube, but on the podcast itself, we actually have a Remco Evenepoel interview about the 2024 season available now. So check that out if you haven't already. But Tour Down Under, we might as well start there. Oh, it started already. We've had the criterium. We have the women's race has finished as well. And what have you thought of this so far?
It's relieving, actually, to get finally sort of make it. I think that the Tour Down Under is the start of the season. I don't care what other people think. I think it is. The women's race kind of kicking it off, I think is good. It kind of gives it its time in the sun. And then the men's race gets its kind of separate time. Yeah, the crit, everyone nicely reading into a 1 hour crit result as to how things are going to play out. But it was an interesting crit. Del Toro finishing third was arguably one of the people care more about Del Toro finishing third than Navarez winning. It's kind of eclipsed everything else. What else happened in that? Luke Plapp didn't finish it. Caleb Ewan didn't start it, which is also question. I have no idea why. People say that Plapp's fine. I don't know why Caleb Ewan didn't do it. Probably because it's a crit and he didn't want to crash ahead of the Tour Down Under, where he's probably expecting to go quite well. But yeah, the women's race was actually quite good, so I've got some pretty high expectations for the men's.
Yeah, the women's race was good. A couple of cool winners as well we got out of that race. It was a good week for the AG Insurance team. They got 2 wins out of it, from the New Zealand champion Wollaston, and then from, I always struggle on how to pronounce Gigante's name. She's Australian, so yes, selfishly frustrated that she won today, so she has to be brought up. But she won the overall, and what I think is quite laughable, the fact that there's only 3 stages for the women's, given that they give it a whole sort of period to itself, and there's only 3 stages. The men's race is short on it anyway, but the women's race is inexplicably short, and it all comes down to that final stage where we could have another couple days, even like a criterium style race as well. For the women to bring all together, even a time trial. Women don't really have time trials in their calendar. If we could throw that one in just to spice it up a little bit, that would be really cool. But in the men's side, yeah, that criterium was really interesting. Narvaez, I think, is actually a criminally underrated rider. That's my first hot take of the week. I think he's super versatile, very underestimated. Can be right up there in the classics. He's actually a pretty good sprinter as well. Could be top 20 on a sort of Giro sprint stage, and he can climb pretty well. He's been a valiant teammate for other riders, so it was good to see him get his time in the sun. Also, great result for Lido Trek to come in second place there. But I mean, Izak Del Toro finishing third is the big headline grabber here in his first race. And he was so happy for Narvaez in the end. If you watch the footage, he's sort of celebrating instantly after the line with Narvaez. I don't know if these two knew each other beforehand. They both speak Spanish. They were probably talking at the breakaway beforehand. It was definitely nice to see them. Amped up for should be a pretty good opening week to the men's World Tour. Although, I mean, time zones always make it difficult. And the new broadcasting situation in the cycling world also makes it a little bit more frustrating.
I'm holding out for this weird hope that GCN Plus will just miraculously return.
I don't think it will.
No, I don't think it will. It's just...
But let me manifest. Let me manifest this. Let me light a black candle. Paracircle. GCN returns. They're so good. It's you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah, it was actually quite underrated for the price it was.
The Discovery overlords didn't want it. Tour Down Under, we talked about it last week, and we'll talk about it next week, of course, as well. In terms of cyclocross, obviously, it's still cyclocross. Ewan, you can
You can take a nap. Yeah, we had the national championships, but none of the big dogs really in action in terms of the big three. You had Eli Iserbyt winning the men's in terms of the Belgian. You had Jordi Newhouse actually becoming Dutch champion as well, beating Pim Ronhaard and Lars van der Haar. Oh yeah, Cam Rayson. Did you win both the under 23 and the men's then?
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep mentioning his name. It's what keeps you going through cyclocross, is the mentioning.
I also want to point out Sanne Cant in Belgium won the women's national championship with a broken nose.
Hasn't she won it like a lot?
This is like her 15th one.
Yeah, exactly. She's like insane.
I don't think I've lived in a world where Sanne Cant has not been at the top of the women's game in cyclocross. So that's a bit of a changing of the guard there in terms of sort of that big name leaving, I can't even think of a word, the forum, whatever, the Colosseum of women's cycling.
When you think about women's cyclocross, a lot of Dutch names spring to mind, and you think Belgians. And it's kind of like you have to kind of scroll down a little bit to find the Belgians. Something the women's cyclocross scene from a Dutch perspective is so dominant that, yeah, sometimes the Belgian actually goes a little bit under the radar. So it's good to see that Sagan got the result. I'll be interested to see who kind of takes up that mantle as like the queen of cyclocross in kind of the women's side in Belgium after she's gone. I don't know who it'll be. I can't think, the name's not springing to mind, but it'll be good to see who takes up that mantle.
In the Danish championships, it was Daniel Nielsen who won. 18 years old, winning the senior, and then Albert Philipsen taking the juniors title. But yeah, wasn't in the seniors. So
it's washed. Washed.
I mean, Danish cyclocross isn't exactly something that lights cyclocross on fire, but
they did host the World Championships.
Yeah, which Mathieu van der Poel won. Which one doesn't he win? But I mean, anything else to add on the national championships? Clermont Volturini
comes and does his like token 5 cyclocross races a year and claims the French national championship.
Yeah, well, anyways, Mathieu van der Poel. We might as well segue onto that. And Ewan, what's the story with Mathieu van der Poel this week?
He's winning in cyclocross.
Well, technically, no,
he's not.
Oh, okay, this story, yes.
That's the story. He didn't win a cyclocross race.
Just got back from a 3-4 hour journey, just about 10 minutes before this podcast. I have not reset my brain. Mathieu van der Poel has announced and teased that he will not be going to the Tour de France next year. This follows a similar announcement that we got from Wout van Aert a couple months back, where they're skipping the Tour de France in order to target the Olympic Games and other goals in the summer. Similarly as well, Julian Alaphilippe has also revealed that he will probably be skipping the Tour de France next year as well. So quite a few sort of regular sort of shoo-ins for the Tour de France will be missing out, and Wout, Julien, Mathieu.
Mathieu van der Poel hasn't actually won a stage since 2021 in the Tour de France. And yeah, you can throw the asterisks on. But I mean, the person who's going to hate this is Jasper Philipsen. He's going to not have his best lead-out man. He was absolutely destroying all the other teams.
That is true. That is very, very true. And he will be the person who's missing out. But I think Philipsen on his own, like we saw that he is probably the best sprinter. And although that final stage when Jordi Meus won, it was a little bit different. But I think Philipsen couldn't work with Van der Poel. We saw that in 2022 with his 2-stage wins in the second half of that race.
My prediction of Christophe Laporte winning green is looking better and better by the day. See, people called me crazy, and I think that it's going to work out just fine. In all seriousness, no, like Van der Poel missing TDF for the Olympics. Do you rate that or not?
The world champion as well. When's the last time we had a world champion miss the race? Oh, Julien Philippe?
Yeah. Even
true. Yeah, Remchuk, yeah.
I think I raced about the whole of like June.
Oh, yeah, true, yeah. That was the random thing we were. Yeah, oops.
We haven't had a world champion at the Tour de France since 2021.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But Van der Poel is rumoured to be going to the Vuelta. That'll be cool to see him try to go for a stage with that.
I just don't care about the Vuelta.
It doesn't feel very Van der Poel as well. But I mean, those like steep finishes could really suit him. I just can't imagine him like be like riding the Vuelta. It just doesn't like fit in my head. I don't know why.
Man, it doesn't work. Van der Poel going to the Vuelta just doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why. Although to be fair, if he goes there and wins a stage, and then doesn't he finishes his trifecta, doesn't he? Yeah. So that is the sole reason that makes it bearable.
Are you not surprised that he's not even doing like the first week of the tour and then just dropping out?
Yeah, well, I am a little bit.
But then he did that in 2021 for the Olympics that year. And remember all the like sort of shtick he got there, like, why were they racing 1 week? I think it probably would be cool if he did the first week. He has a good chance of like being right up there in the mix in the first couple stages. But yeah, I mean, it is disappointing. But for Albers and de Koenig as well, would you rather have Van der Poel be there for 7 days? Or would you rather have a leader man who's going to be dedicated there for the 3 weeks for Philipsen?
I mean, think of the publicity in the first week if he's there, world champion Mathieu at the Tour de France. I mean,
he would also be kind of killer on some of the first stages. Well, nah, he's not making that San Luca climb, is he? He ain't doing it.
Nah, probably not. No,
probably not. This will all be so hilarious once more if he flops the Olympics. Because that would be 2 Olympic cycles in a row that there's been like, prep for it and it's just not worked. We've made a video about Van der Poel going to the Olympics. He is, for all intents and purposes, the favourites, let's say. We are like literally 7 months out, but provisionally he is sort of the favourite because of, how good he is at executing on the big stage. Him and Van Aert missing out. Alaphilippe missing out is kind of losing its grandiosa year on year. Van Aert and Van der Poel both missing from a tour does certainly detract from it a little bit. The year where I'm going to the tour this year, and this is the year they both choose not to go, I am insulted.
But in the GC field, we are eating. We are getting Roglic, we are getting Evenepoel, we're getting Pogacar, we're getting Vingegaard, we're getting Sasha Vlasov supporting Roglic.
Why not? We're not getting Uiterbrooks. Where's Uiterbrooks?
Uiterbrooks is going to the Giro.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to the Tour.
No.
Yeah, I did see earlier this week that on Mathieu Jorgensen's Instagram that Uiterbrooks had dropped Jonas Vingegaard, which technically means that Uiterbrooks is now going to be Tour de France champion, undisputed, because he managed to drop Jonas Vingegaard in January, the most important of months to be in form as a road rider.
We're sticking on the Mathieu van der Poel point here. Missing out Mathieu van der Poel, Wout van Aert at the Tour de France, the biggest rivalry in the sport, you have to say. I know Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard, but I think that's the biggest one, you have to say, considering the longevity that those two have had and the number of disciplines as well. But marketing-wise as well, this is terrible for the Tour.
Yeah, but also we haven't really seen them duel at the Tour de France. We've only seen it once in 2021. That was it.
Well, You kind of saw it this last year as well with like the lead out when he kind of like just sabotaged the Wout van Aert sprint
a little bit, but then like I feel like 2022 we definitely didn't get it, and then in 2021 we got in that first week. That was really excellent to have it then, but we haven't really seen it in the Grand Tour setting. It would be cool if Van der Poel goes to the Giro and we see it there. That would be excellent, but we don't believe that's happening.
And it's going to the Vuelta of all places. Unbelievable.
Wout might be going to the Vuelta, so maybe we see that clash at the Vuelta Spaniard instead. They desperately need that marketing going into that race.
Yeah. Well, jokes aside, I am happier that we're going to see, in theory, a kind of fully prepared Van der Poel versus Van Aert at the Olympics than a fully prepared Van Aert and Van der Poel head-to-head on some null stage gravel in stage 7 or whatever the heck it is, when nothing is going to happen and people are like hyping up their ability because they're cyclocross riders. Like their battle in the Tour would probably is not going to be, or doesn't have the potential to be anywhere near as legendary as this Olympic battle. So I would rather it be this way around.
Completely agree, but I just think it's weird that they're not just not Wout because he's doing the Giro, but he's not doing the first week like Ewan said, like similar to 2021. Maybe he's thinking, oh, I did that back then and suddenly there was a ramp and I crashed.
It's the Olympic Games. It's the biggest sporting event in the world that transcends all sort of boundaries. But like all these guys putting so much emphasis on the Olympic Games and sort of cutting out these other things in the season, it is a bit underwhelming for us. Do they really care about it that much? Yeah, I mean, winning an Olympic gold is bigger than winning a Tour de France stage. Like, being an Olympic champion is almost as good as being Tour de France champion.
Is it? Do you think so?
Yeah, because the Olympic Games transcends Tour de France, I think.
So,
Everything.
2008, Samuel Sanchez won the Olympics. Nobody really knows who he is anymore.
Who won the Tour de France in 2008?
Sastra. Carlos Sastra.
That took you too long. It took you too long.
Try.
There's a lot of Olympic events or Olympic sports that shouldn't have it. Football, tennis, cycling. I think track cycling, yes. But, yeah. And it just feels a bit weird.
I think there should be a crit Olympic event. I think that would be much better. Have a crit, a road race.
And the team time trial.
A hill climb.
Yeah, actually.
3 road cycling events. And I think that would absolutely slap.
Do you think there is also like, I mean, I said this on the podcast a couple months back, but an Olympic stage race where you have like 4 stages, a bit like the old criterium international, we have like 1 mountain stage, 1 flat stage, 1 hilly stage, 1 time trial. Boom, you find out who the best stage racer is. But
you're right, because they have all like the decathlon, heptathlon, all those kind of things. So why not?
Hello, Thomas Bach, head of the International Olympic Committee. Hello, David Abartian on the other phone. Not everybody can win Olympic gold. It's going to be Christophe Laporte or someone else. It's going to be someone rogue that we're not even thinking about. Pearson. I mean, people will be considering Pearson, but it won't be these guys who are purely targeting it, surely. Can we see out on that post-Grand Tour form? Even look at the 2021 standings. All 3 guys who were on the podium. Wout, Pogacar, Carapaz, all rode the Tour de France, all were very involved in that Tour de France. Carapaz, Pogacar in the final podium. Wout won 2 stages in the final week of racing, and they lined up the podium. And the guys who missed it to sort of target it, even like looking at the time trial, Pippo Ganno, who missed out that to purely target the Olympic Games, didn't go to the Tour de France. They didn't meet the mark. It was the guys who did the Tour de France, had that form, who went into it, who performed really well, even looking at the World Championships in 2023 in Glasgow. The riders who are right up there in the mix all were pretty influential in the Tour de France.
So like you're saying, Christophe Laporte.
Yeah, exactly.
And somebody else is going to be winning.
Nielsen Paulus.
No, I think Ewan makes a good point as well with that. But yeah, no, what we're not much man for on the podium. That's the story. Anyways, we might as well come with a quite weird story that Ewan sent me and Patrick also discovered. Wout van Aert and the Prime Minister of the UK have a mutual friend. I mean, Ewan, what is this?
You say mutual friend. They have an unlikely connection. The Financial Times, published an article about Isaac Lovido, who is going to be the campaign manager for Rishi Sunak, the Conservative Prime Minister currently in the United Kingdom, who is looking to contend an election within the next 12 months. We don't know when. Anywhere between May and October. Could be later than that. But the campaign manager is obsessed with Wout van Aert. The article describes him labelled as a beast. Quote, Van Aert is a race winner in his own right, but in the Tour de France he acts as a domestique deluxe, half killing himself to protect his leaders and drag the team through the mountains. The Australian political strategist expects similar Tory discipline and grab as he tries to get Sunak over the line. Yes, the Financial Times has likened Rishi Sunak's campaign manager as Wout van Aert, and Rishi Sunak in this case would be Jonas Vingegaard. A very interesting comparison. I did not expect to be seeing my academic background in political science having a link to cycling today, but yeah, also just FT, Financial Times, a very, very respected, like, highbrow broadsheet, publishing an article describing Wout van Aert as a beast is also just, like, memeable in its own right. How did this come up? How did, like, of like, all the little, like, things and tidbits they could have got from this campaign manager, they were like, oh, yes, the fact he's into Wout van Aert, that's really important because we're going to make him out to be this big domestique. But it's going to be an uphill struggle. Rishi Sunak is not polling very well. The Conservative Party are in a pretty bad position right now. The Labour Party, the left-wing opposition in the United Kingdom currently, look to be on track to win an election, which may come in the next year. So maybe this is all a metaphor for...
No, Jonas is saying that he's not like Rishi.
Wait. Is Jonas...
Yes, Patrick. This article does allude to a tie between Jonas Vingegaard and Rishi Sunak, metaphorically.
Brilliant.
Are they the same height? How tall is Vingegaard? I think Vingegaard is taller than Rishi Sunak, and he definitely can pedal harder than Rishi.
Does that make UAE Team Emirates
The Labour
Party?
So Keir Starmer is Tadej Pogacar.
Yeah. I got a second. Can you imagine doing a video about trying to draw political the likes?
I just think this is so.
I have a Twitter thread on this.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
In the comment section down below. I think I described Keir Starmer as Jai Hindley, I think.
What?
So Ewan is derailing this.
Oh no, I said Roglic was Keir Starmer. They both love the color red. People are always rooting for them, even if the odds are stacked against them. And they both had a successful life before politics and cycling.
To be fair, can't deny it. Can't deny it. But it's right there.
Barack Obama was Remco Evenepoel in this thread as well. Heartthrob status.
Scott, please save where we are in this podcast.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, apologies to all our viewers and listeners. Ewan is totally, I think he's dehydrated after that 3-hour ride or drive, not ride. The only thing I like about this is that we've had a Rishi Sunak and Wout van Aert mentioned in the same, like Ewan said, by the Financial Times. It's so weird. Like, what is happening right now? I would just imagine like a Sunday ride with Wout van Aert and Rishi. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. Or Rishi turning up to a cyclocross race.
Well, you say that. Rishi Sunak is a big fan of his Peloton machine. Of course he is.
Not a real bike.
It's not a real bike. He should go outside. But for security reasons, that's probably quite difficult.
I mean, Ewan, we went into a Peloton shop to see it and how expensive they actually are. They're more expensive than a real bike.
Well, Rishi Sunak is married to one of the richest people in India. He's married into the InfoScience dynasty. Rishi Sunak, is incredibly rich. So this all makes sense. But he is a big fan of his Peloton and eating Greek yogurt. So I could expect to see him on a little ride. I can see Rishi Sunak head to toe in Lycra, riding with the Visma bike boys.
So we're going to see like an Indian-backed pro cycling team.
Oh, they desperately need that. Like India, China, what are you doing in cycling? Okay, we've got the China Glory team, but we haven't got an Indian team. There's actually a rider from India called David Beckham.
Sign him up.
Track rider, I think he is.
Low-key though, for like the media attention you would get from having an Indian rider, and having a rider called David Beckham on your team.
Yeah.
That's enough. For a team like RKS Samsic, or maybe like the Bass team or Tour de Tima team, sign up Indian David Beckham and make it into a meme that could go viral on Twitter. It could transcend the cycling borders, much like the Olympic Games does. And you could have articles written in like The Sun, in the Washington Post, TMZ, all about Indian David Beckham.
Can you imagine? Would an Indian pro cycling world tour team, would it be a bit like UAE where they have one rider from their home nationality and they just still claim it, but they're the national champ, so it's fine?
I mean, Israel's the same. Israel's the same. They have
exactly
2-3 riders, and then they never really lined them up for any of the Grand Tours, really.
Bahrain as well. And now we have an Uzbek team in the women's peloton. Speaking of which, it was Egan Bernal's 27th birthday this week.
What?
I believe that man's 27.
No. Isn't he just perpetually 23?
Yes. 27. Isn't it crazy how time flies?
What has happened? I just keep on thinking when he's 23 and or where he started just dropping off just doesn't exist, and he's just we're frozen in time, and I'm waiting for Bernal to make his comeback from 2019 tour and just continue it.
You went from 23 to 27.
You know, legit. Rich people can get frozen. This happens to Mr. Burns in The Simpsons. You can get frozen, put in one of those things, and you get defrosted, so that you never die.
Did Han Solo do that?
I think so. I don't know.
This is the weirdest podcast we've ever done.
Egan Bernal was put in a freezer. He was frozen in 2020 on the Grand Colombier, and actually he was defrosted for a little bit. They let him out to they defrosted him. They thought they were going to eat him for dinner that night at the Giro in 2021, and then they put him back in the freezer and didn't touch him for a couple of years. And he's still 24.
I mean, how do you actually think Egan Bernal, if he didn't have that crash in Colombia in 2022, how do you think he would actually have fared against Jonas Vingegaard? Or where would he be in the hierarchy? Would he be top 5, podium?
I don't know. I think he would be losing.
Yeah, but where would he be? Top 5? Is he better than? Would he be better than Remco? Roglic?
I think he would be on a similar level to Remco, but he just doesn't have a TT ability. Facts.
I don't know.
He can't compete against Tadej and Jonas in the TT. He just can't. He'd be losing 2 minutes.
That's true. I don't know. I was so hot on Bernal back in 2020, 2019, but I think he was so in that Giro. He was against Daniel. Yeah, he's out. Well, he's actually in his physical peak. So when he's 27, he should really be reaching his physical peak. But I think we've seen the best of Egan Bernal, and in approximately 5 years' time, the Cycling Dane will release a video of WTF happened to Egan Bernal.
There's one already.
Yeah, he emptied it.
Yeah, exactly.
Before he was even 27, that man, you've already put him in the grave. Like, he doesn't even exist anymore. What the F has happened to him? No going back. No matter how stupid of a designed helmet Cast decided to release to cover the ear tips of riders. Who the hell decided that?
Real. Also, he's got scoliosis. I don't think it's coming back. How can you be a professional rider like at the top level with scoliosis?
Is it aero? Does it kind of bend you into an aero position? Anyway, is he like a hunchback of Notre Dame?
When did he start getting it? Did he have it?
He found out he had it after the Tour de France in 2020. But he still won the Giro.
Yeah, so that's pretty impressive.
But then he got hit by a truck.
No, bus.
Yeah.
Bus. And I think he rode into the bus. And after having been to Colombia, that it was a bus is quite weird, because considering how many motorbikes that just don't obey the laws there, I'm surprised there wasn't a motorbike.
Don't gaslight him. Don't gaslight Egan.
Anyways, this has been it's like the first 50 were normal. The first 50 episodes are very normal. Now it's the second 50 of the 100 target, and now we're just going off hinge. But anyways, rider of the week. let's try again.
Oh, no.
Oh, is there something else?
The Big Four have announced their schedules for the year. So the Big Four are Remco Evenepoel, Jonas Vingegaard, Tadej Pogacar, and Primož Roglic. They've all announced officially this week, although we knew before, they've all announced officially that they are going to the Tour de France. And we have the first glimpse of their schedule. So, first up, Tadej Pogacar. He will be going to Strade Bianche, Milan-San Remo, the Volta a Catalunya, that's a new one unlocked, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and the Giro before going to the Tour de France. Jonas Vingegaard will be starting the year off at the Gran Camino. Round of applause. And then Tirreno Adriatico, the Azulia Basque Country, then the Criterium de Dauphiné in the June time before going to the Tour de France. Remco Evenepoel has a busy schedule. He's going to this new Portuguese classic, which many riders seem to be going to on February 10th. And then he's going to the Tour of Algarve, Paris-Nice, Basque Country, Amstel Gold, Flèche-Wallonne, Liège-Bastogne-Liège, and the Criterium de Dauphiné. Very, very busy schedule. He is the busiest of all of these guys coming into the Tour de France. Primož Roglic has a pretty bare schedule right now. It's not confirmed whether he'll go to Paris-Nice or Tirreno. It will be one of them. There's also a probable inclusion of the Azulia Basque Country before going to the Criterium de Dauphiné in the June time. There we go. So
stacked.
I'm quite disappointed about Roglic, because he said at one point he was going to go to the Tour de Suisse because he wanted to complete the 1 week stage races. But, well, you can't win the Tour de Suisse if you're on Criterium de Dauphiné.
Facts.
Also, I think Tour de Suisse also doesn't have a great conversion rate with the Tour de France.
Wait, are you saying Tour de Suisse winners don't win the Tour? Say that to Egan Bernal in 2019.
Oh, that's a good part.
Finish my point, Scott. It sounds like the Dauphiné is more of I would say a more like Tour de France ready competition, and we've seen over the past couple of years that even the past 10 years that the Dauphiné is being quite a good sort of precursor to the Tour de France. And also, given that it's going to have Evenepoel and Vingegaard this year, you would say it's probably more important to be there than Tour de Suisse.
I'm trying to think about whose schedule I kind of like best. Well, obviously Jonas, because he's going to Gran Camino. That's clearly the best preparation of them all. There's quite a lot of also. Basque Country, Jonas and Roglic are going there. Was Evenepoel going there? Basically, there seems to be like there's going to be a couple of races where you're going to see like 2 or 3 of these guys go head to head before the race, which is going to be great for us.
No 1-day races for Vingegaard. I mean, Remco doing the triple, like Amstel Gold, Flèche-Wallonne, and Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
Well, no, Remco and Poggy not doing it. Oh, Poggy isn't Poggy's not doing Flash. That might change. He did win it last year. But doing one-day races is actually, like, I would say, a really ineffective way of tuning up. I know it's great for us, but you're trying to go for a stage race that you have multiple days of racing, and you travel to the race. You get 5 days constant racing, 6 days, 7 days, whatever. For a one-day race, you go, you do that one race, and that's it. And it's also a more high-risk scenario as well, probably because it's like a higher pace and stuff. We see it often at the classics, there are big crashes. Pogacar last year at Liège is a perfect example. So it is a more ineffective way of tuning up, although it is like way more exciting for us to see them clash there. If these guys want to win the Tour de France, I understand completely why Vingegaard is not doing any one-day races. He doesn't need to. Evenepoel and Pogacar are slightly different, you know. But Roglic not doing them is a little bit upsetting because I think he's quite interesting in one-day races, but he's shoved those aside over the past 2 years.
Yeah, just what's happened to him? What have we done to him? We've ruined him.
We were hoping for the Roglic, Pogacar, and Remco battle at Liège, but I mean, Pogacar, Remco is still pretty good if we actually get it this year. Not for a pothole dug by Patrick Lefebvre, as you said.
Exactly. I still stand by my conspiracy theory that Patrick Lefebvre dug that pothole for Pogacar to crash into. I guarantee it happened. I don't think it's beyond Lefebvre's abilities to do something sketchy like that. I mean, I guess Roglic is going with the approach of kind of what Jonas has done in years gone by, which is that, like, almost less is better. Just kind of keep yourself shrouded away so nobody really knows how you're doing. And then just kind of leave it until the last minute, which is okay. The Dauphiné.
What? He didn't leave it. He won. He was up there in Paris-Nice, first ever Dane to finish on the podium. Then he won the Tour of the Basque Country, and then he won the Criterium du Dauphiné. He wasn't hiding anywhere, and he won the Gran Camino, so he wasn't hiding.
No, that's just there's reasons for all of this. He was bluffing at Paris because he actually came third, so everybody was like, he's washed, he has no way he's winning the Tour. We were all saying that, I remember.
David Gaudu was going to finish on the podium. Yeah,
that's country. There was no over of a Galacticos down, so it was a walkover anyway. He was up against Sergio Higuita.
And Landa.
Like, come on. Like, if that was a walkover. And then what was the one after that? Dauphiné. Who was at the Dauphiné last year?
Adam Yates.
Adam Yates. Exactly. So the competition won't matter.
Adam Yates finished on the podium at the Tour de France.
Exactly, but how many minutes down, Scott? A lot. Basically, my point is, Roglic hopefully won't crash. And he'll go to the Tour and he'll be fine. End of. Then.
Roglic's schedule is like probably the most boring, but I'm the most excited for it because I think Bora actually will be a really good team this year. Their Tour de France squad that they've like kind of hinted at, it includes Jai Hindley, Sasha Vlasov, Danny Martinez, Sombrero, Kemna, Nico Denson, Danny Van Poppel. That's like a disgustingly good team, and it's very all round. And like a lot of like the interviews and the press sort of stuff that they've been giving out this week, they're so focused on this goal. Like they've been saying that we've been waiting for a legitimate chance to win the Tour de France for years. Now we finally have it, and we're going to do everything we can to win. We need to disrupt Jumbo. We need to be chaotic. That's the way Jumbo will be distracted. So
Jumbo don't exist anymore.
Sorry, Bisma. Bisma leads the bike. Stupid name. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Roglic goes. And the Dauphiné will be a good chance to see that, although I reckon we might see Visma leads the bike just be sort of like copy-paste and destroy every stage race that Vingegaard enters before the Tour de France, where Bora will release their tunnel of chaos, as they called it, during the week.
That's quite interesting, Jai Hindley going to the Tour, because we were discussing maybe that he was going to go to the Giro. So Vlasov, Giro d'Italia champion 2024. Oh wait, second place finisher to Pogacar.
No, Vlasov's going to the Tour de France.
Okay.
It's Hindley, Vlasov, and Martinez.
Oh shoot, I didn't.
That's like their three big guys. Buchmann not going is kind of interesting. Buchmann is rumored to the Giro.
Okay.
Yeah, been that great though.
Okay, that's a very good team then.
It's a really, really good team. Also, Mathieu Sombrero, super excited to see what he's going to bring. He could be a really, really interesting rider this year. Hemner, we know from the Giro a couple of years back, was really, really, really strong there. And then you've got Nico Dens as well as like good sort of all-round engine. And we saw how he sort of came of age in 2023. So this Tour de France team, for me, is looking super exciting. And for Roglic to experiment with them during the season will be super interesting. For instance, Roglic and Vlasov will collaborate at Paris to begin with.
I would honestly say that this Bora team is stronger than this Melissa Bike's team.
Agreed.
Think about it, if you put, hypothetically, just imagine, all those Bora jerseys are instead just like the Visma bike team, all of a sudden it's the best team in the world. But for some reason it's Bora, who are a little bit kind of, haven't been the biggest players in GC, but they're kind of coming in as underdogs. But this is an absolute killer team. And I personally think if they, alongside the chaos of UAE Team Emirates, gang up on Visma bike, we are going to defeat Jonas. I'm saying this as if we need to defeat him, but he will be toppled and he will not win for a third time in a row. It will be like when the army of the dead and the riders of Gondor, like they convened together in Lord of the Rings and took on the orcs. The orcs being Visma bike, and Gondor has called for aid, and they've all convened together. Lord of the Rings fans will get that. It's fine. Riders of Rohan, that's it. Riders of Rohan will be Bora. UAE is the army of the dead, and the orcs are Visma bike. There you go.
Guys, why are you making me the normal one this episode? Thanks for that.
Listen, Scott, we can't hide our true colours for all this time. People have got to know
the Scottish air and the Lake District air is bad for both of you. That's what we found out.
It's making us delusional. We're losing our minds.
The help is here in the form of the Rider of the Week.
Gondor calls for aid. Sorry, I'll stop being a Lord of the Rings nerd. I will go first. My Rider of the Week is Nienke Vinke, who finished second in the women's Tour Down Under. Somebody who I'd never even clocked before. But she finished second ahead of like some hella competition, rider for DSM, Feminic Post NL. Considering that I didn't know her before today, and now she finished second, I think that's pretty impressive. So I think that's a pretty well deserved under radar rider of the week.
Yeah, there's a couple of like really impressive rides in top 10 at the Tour Down Under. I'm going to go for Neve Bradbury, who finished in third place. She is 21 years of age, born in April 2002, and she finished in third place overall that race. There's also a really good performance from Dominika Włodarczyk from Poland, with an incredibly difficult surname to pronounce with an awful lot of consonants. Two really, really good rides, but Bradbury for me has to be the ride of the week. And also that Canyon SRAM kit this year, it's good. So yeah,
it is.
It's really, really nice.
That's very true. And Scott, who do you want to pick?
I mean, we didn't actually talk about the European Championships on the track, which we probably should have. Because, the DB team actually won. They beat the Danes, unfortunately, in the final. And also a friend of, well, not the echelon, the cycling Dane, Dan Bigham, became a European champion, both in the team pursuit and the individual pursuit, defeating his teammate Charlie Tanfield in the final. So he is my rider of the week because he's a double European champion. But I could have picked Aaron Gate as well, who has also been on the track quite a lot, but he won the New Zealand Classic, and for whatever reason, he's not on the World Tour and never has been. He's kind of been floating in the Pro Continental. But Dan Bigham is my rider of the week.
Also, from the Europeans, Lotte Kopecky won 2 titles in the space of 1 hour.
Really?
She's a machine.
Wow. Yeah.
Which titles?
You're asking too many questions now.
We'll just make. She won the I don't know, scratch race.
What could you win in the space of an hour?
You could round off the Omnium and then do another event. So you could win the Omnium and then do like an individual event.
Yeah.
But then in the actual World Championship, she won a track title and a road title within the space of 24 hours.
She was ridiculous.
Mad.
But she didn't get a ride of the week from either of you two.
Oh,
no. She's not 21.
She's not 21. She's not some unknown DSM Feminic poster now.
Yeah, she's very known. Anyways, that's it to this very chaotic episode of the Echelon Cycling Podcast. As always, make sure to get involved in the comments down below. If you're watching on YouTube, check us out on Spotify as well. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow everyone over on Twitter as well. All the Twitter accounts will be in the description down below. And that's basically it for us. So thank you very much for watching, listening, and we will see you in the next one.